So is John Howard correct that you won't trouble the scorers and it's all actually just about relevance deprivation syndrome or whatever? What do you make of John Howard's intervention?
Look, Mr. Howard, I've known him, he's a legend, but they seem to wheel him out when the death throes of the Liberal campaign is there. He's backed every Liberal leadership person, every contender. He's backed every campaign, no matter how hopeless they are. And for someone of his stature to dismiss One Nation, which is now representing a great swathe of votes out there and voices of Australian people, as some sort of party of protest, you've got to ask yourself, how did it get to this? If the Liberal Party and the Labor parties were actually doing the right thing by the country, if they were, enacting policies that people wanted, and if they were actually making our lives better, well, maybe there wouldn't be a need for One Nation. But here's the problem, Rowan. You can't save the duopoly. You can't save the uni party, because Mr. Howard's party, which is the Liberal Party, and Mr. Albanese's party, the competition between them extends to about the extent of, we will manage the decline of this, the economic, the social and the cultural decline of this country slightly less badly than the other blokes. But they're all taking us in one direction. And that's why One Nation, after 3 decades of warning people what was happening and what was going to come, after Pauline Hanson's determination and her prescience, I should say, the chickens are coming home to roost. People are going, you lot, meaning the major parties, the duopoly, you haven't made our lives better. In fact, you're making it worse and you've got no answers. And for Mr. Howard to say that I'm seeking attention, well, mate, I've enjoyed more than my fair share of time in the spotlight, and that's the furthest thing from my mind. What I want is to actually fix some of the problems that are there, and I want to help train or support or build an army of people who are going to actually have a very strong voice for their state and for their country. And if I spend the next 4 or 5 or 6 years of my time doing that, and the country will be better off, well, I'll happily fade into the limelight. And I only wish Mr. Howard would probably do the same about now.
Cory, I know you'll go great guns in South Australia. I have no doubt about that. What do you attempted to break the duopoly with your Australian Conservatives a few years ago. I gave you some publicity on that at the time. It was a great cause. What do you think One Nation, now that the momentum is going their way, what should be the One Nation policy? Should it be, as Pauline has suggested, maybe some kind of coalition with the Nats or even the Libs if the votes go that way? How do you see it playing out, this momentum, this big swing towards One Nation at the moment? How's it going to play out, do you think, federally?
I think One Nation's star is on the rise for a few reasons. One is the public is catching up to the fact that Pauline Hanson's been right all along, that the cosy duopoly that is maladministering the country has no interest in the people. And she's giving a voice to people who feel marginalised and feel dispossessed by the current political environment. No question about that. But politics is the art of the possible. You know that, Rowan. You've got to take some risks in this game. I've certainly taken a few risks. Some come off and some don't. But, the fact is that if the voters entrust One Nation with representation, more representation, with the balance of power or the opportunity to choose who forms government until we form government, well, wouldn't it be better off to have a centre-right government than a hard left one? And if One Nation can influence the policy mix that's coming through, then for the betterment of all South Australians, or all Australians, I should say, in regard to taxation, in regard to the education system, in regard to immigration, in regard to looking after Australia's interests first rather than the international interests, well, surely the country would be better off. Ultimately, I think I'd like to see a One Nation government, full stop. But, we might be a couple of elections away from that, and between now and then, we'll give a very strong voice to the Australian people, and we'll work with anybody who wants to make South Australia or Australia a better, more prosperous and safer place.
One might even say, make South Australia great again. Cory Bernardi, thanks to chat to you as always, and we'll speak again soon.